Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Observable Flutter. I'm your host, as always, Craig LeBenz. Actually, one day, maybe someone else will be the host. Who knows? As always, so far. And today, we are going to talk about Prisma ORM, my new favorite way to talk to a Postgres database, though Prisma ORM is willing to talk to all different kinds of databases. So it's not picky. But before we get too deep into it, I just want to remind everybody, this is Observable Flutter. We are not here to get down on anybody else or berate packages that we don't personally use, all that kind of stuff. We're just here to learn together and have a great time. Okay, so let's start talking about Prisma. And I've got the website open here, and you wouldn't know it from its own website, but you can use it with Dart and basically every other language, as far as I can tell, because it just has a language agnostic spec where you write some stuff like this and have, as they claim, a data model you can read. I think that promise is delivered. I gotta lean this way to not cover it. There we go. There's the data model that we can read as long as the host isn't covering it up. And yeah, then you run a command to turn this into, to apply the queries that would define these tables. So you can actually instantiate your database. And I forget if it's the same command or a different command that generates all of your type safe client-side code, kind of server side, but we'll still call it the client from this perspective. And yeah, it's pretty darn cool. So let's do it. Let's get into it. I'm gonna need a new terminal. And what I think I want to do today is get a Postgres, get talking to a Postgres database. I'm basically going to create a users table, and I just want to work through the process of sending basically creating a user and then logging back in with them. So fairly humble ambitions, but if we get all that done, we'll see a ton. So I'm pretty excited about that. Okay, let's go into my dev directory and make a project, and it'll be called Prisma ORM, I guess. How's everybody doing on this fine Thursday? Okay, so we're going to ultimately do this in like a shelf backend, but I'm not going to start with shelf because I want to get right into the database. So first, I'm just going to make a DB package, and then we might embed this in some shelf or something. So let's run Dart create -t. Actually, I don't remember what this is. Dart create. I want package, right? Dart create, and then let's go back. Package DB. Perfect. See, I did this before in my personal project where I use Prisma. Okay. Code DB. Actually, let's load the whole current directory. Getting exciting now, isn't it, folks? What I call it, Prisma ORM. Well, I think it's just called ORM on pub. They got the good name. Okay, let's see here. Oh, can you buy my sweater? Well, you can buy the same sweater from the store where I got it from. Maybe that would suffice. All right, let's get code in here and make everything bigger. And well, let's do it. So first of all, we actually need to look at the docs, and I need to put these in two different spaces because I have a smooth brain. So where is the documentation? Let's look at the getting started docs. I'm going to make this bigger as well. Yeah, except the cookies. Actually, let's make this a little smaller so I cover not all of it. No, this is just awkward. Okay. So blah, 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 blah. Which tutorial is right for me? We don't have an existing SQL project. We do have a new project, but maybe the quick start. Let's start with the quick start. Okay, so we didn't call it Hello Prisma. We called it Prisma ORM. We CD'd into it. And the next thing we need to do is initialize a TypeScript project. And I do believe that we still have to do that, even though we are not using TypeScript for our application. Everything is wrong. Okay, so we're in database and we're going to run the command that they told us to run. Goodness, I'm sorry. Of course, if you don't have npm installed, then you will have to do that, of course. So now we have some new stuff in our directory. And what did it make? Oh, we just have package.json, right? Because we have to npm install before anything actually will exist. Okay, so now we're going to, this is basically like pub add to add TypeScript and some other stuff. So I'll just run this command, enter. Reading interesting statements in the chat about sweatshirts. Okay, now we initialize the project. Created tsconfig. And folks, I'm doing this as a non-TypeScript developer. I've played with a lot of TypeScript before, but I'm not an expert. So you are not watching someone who has done this a million times. And if you're feeling like, well, I don't know what all these commands do, like that's fine. I barely know what they do as well. Okay, so now we've installed Prisma we've added Prisma to our current TypeScript project, which we see appearing here. We have all the kind of infrastructure we need to use TypeScript instead of JavaScript. These are just like dev dependencies in a pubspec.yaml file. Okay. I wonder what percentage of people are familiar with pubspec.yaml, but not package.json. That's an interesting question. All right, finally, set up Prisma. Oh, so we have to initialize it, but we aren't going to use SQLite, of course. We're using Postgres, the one and only. My one true database love. Postgres QL. Postgres. What do you think? Should we type the QL? Yes, we are going to have to type the QL. Okay, great. So some more stuff has been identified and missed a lot in 6 minutes. Insane TV. Well, let's just have a quickest recap of all time. I'm going to hit the up arrow on my terminal and show what we did. So first, I made a directory called Prisma ORM. Then I changed into that directory. Then I created a Dart package called database. Then I opened that. Actually, I opened the surrounding package in VS Code. Then I don't know why I CD'd in. I don't think I actually did that. Oh, no, I did. Because in the database package, we had to initialize this npm project. And then we added TypeScript to that project. And then I did whatever this does. And then we added Prisma to the project as a dev-only dependency. And then we said, all right, Prisma, run some of your Bootstrap code, and we are going to talk to Postgres, and that didn't work. So then we did it with PostgreSQL, and that worked. And other than that, all I have done is read this documentation. So, this is a good question. Gold Studio says, why use Prisma to integrate with Postgres DB with Flutter? Well, because I am assuming a full stack Dart application. So one of the things I said a minute ago was that I would use Shelf on the server. So this is all something that, Flutter, your kind of networking code in your Flutter app will make a network call to your backend. And then that is where this kind of part of the story will pick up. What I've been using recently is I was really inspired by the gRPC episode with John Franco a couple of weeks ago. I was like, gRPC is incredible. How have I literally worked at the company that invented it for years and not figured that out? So I've been using gRPC to go from Flutter to my Dart backend, and then those gRPC server side, handlers basically just turn all of the message parameters into. They just pass them to like functions that wrap Prisma to make database calls, and it's just it's really, really good. So that's what we're doing. Full stack consisting of Dart all the way. All right. So now we get to model our data in the Prisma schema file. And this file has already been generated, I believe, and shouldn't have a ton in it. So let's look. In the Prisma folder, we see schema.prisma. And let me close some things here. All right, now maybe a little too big. There we go. First thing we need is some syntax highlighting, because couldn't be me writing this plain text nonsense. And man, you can just, doesn't it give you an incredible sense of confidence when a plugin has a perfect 5-star rating over 800,000 downloads? It's like, all right, pretty good. So now we have syntax highlighting and we're ready to continue. It's interesting. They didn't tell us. You know what I think we need to do? Oh, sorry. I was looking for both of these lines up here because I'm a simple person. Now, though, we actually need to start mixing the, one second. Don't understand your need for Prisma since they're no longer focused on supporting multiple languages, including Dart. Well, Dart is focused on doing that instead. So we can go to pub, packages, and using the best possible name for this is the ORM package. Only 20 reviews, but there were 800,000 opportunities for someone to be upset, so pretty good. All right, so this ORM package, which is being actively updated, I have personally filed a bug against this and saw it get fixed quite quickly, which was just lovely. So this is the Dart version of this, and random guy, if you are aware of a reason why like Prisma might be doing something where third parties like this kind of can't follow along, then please do share. That would be darn good info. I'm a little confused. Are you using the free open source tool or Prisma's paid offerings? I'm not currently using any of Prisma's paid offerings. Actually, just before the show, I was like, oh, there's a company tab here. And I was clicking around looking at the different things that they have here. They sell this like super fast database kind of edge solution that I'm pretty unfamiliar with. So I'm basically just using the libraries to talk to Postgres from, for us, Dart code. Obviously, their native support is TypeScript, but there's libraries for Prisma in basically every language, as far as I can see. So we continue. But yeah, so we actually need to start looking at some of the instructions for Prisma in Dart itself. So let's learn how to use Prisma ORM in our Dart project, because that is what we care about. So we've already made Dart create hello. We did that. We called it DB. And, so they're kind of bringing in some instructions from the other side of, the raw Prisma installation instructions. We already ran this one, npmx or npx Prisma init. And now we're getting to some Postgres stuff. So they talk about having this env file, and yeah, let's do that. I'll just copy. There we go. I don't know. Maybe we'll use an env file. Maybe we'll just cheat. I guess first we need an actual database running. So I'm going to just use my Postgres app here. Oh, that's already running. Wonderful. Postico. Amazing. So Postgres app. Oh, look. Oh, I was testing something a long time ago. So, and I have no tables in this database. So this is perfect. Okay. Wow. I think I remember this. This was so old. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So let's see. We got some chat about the value of ORMs. Prisma ORM object relational mapping. It helps you connect with any database from a common domain language. That is correct. And also no need for SQL queries with ORMs. You get to abstract it away, usually a lot easier. Yes. I think having raw SQL in your app, there's a time and a place for it, and it can be really useful, but boy, does it get tedious very, very fast. Okay, so we have a database going here, and we need the connection string to get to this database, but it's not going to be very hard. Copy this. What did this have? Oh, database URL. We don't need the whole thing. We just need this. Can you? All right, whatever. Okay, so we don't need this. We do need the string. There we go. Okay, so PostgreSQL, we're keeping that. The user for our database is probably Postgres. Let's go back here and look at our connection info. Oh, I pay for Postgres on my personal machine. Postgres, I love Postgres. If you use Postgres, you got to use it and definitely pay because it's amazing. All right, so the database was Craig Lebenz. The user is Craig Lebenz, and there is no password. That could be complicating. So Craig Lebenz, password. I guess we're going to try to get rid of that. Localhost. The port is a standard for Postgres of 5432. And the database was Craig Lebenz. And we aren't worrying about the schema. Okay, so we're back to the instructions. And they tell us that, yeah, we are going to find this file. We did find this file. And as you scroll down, it's time to do something in our Dart package of add the ORM dependency. So I'll return to this and open pubspec.yaml and add ORM. And, I don't really know what version this is going to be. So let's actually run the command Dart add ORM. Is that what it was? Or pub add ORM. Is anyone else better than me at remembering when you need to use pub and when not? Do you always need to use pub? Am I just out of my mind? Okay, so now that we've added ORM, we are ready to modify the generator configuration in the schema.prisma file. So we are, so provider Dart run ORM, we'll grab this. That's in generator client. So in generator client, we replace provider from the JavaScript thing to our Dart package. We are using this in a standalone Dart package that, of course, we would talk to from Flutter. But this will ultimately live on the server. We're going to wrap it in some shelf fun. All right, add a data model. So now we're getting to the point where we're going to define some stuff. And we're back in the schema.prisma file, like it says here. So I'll just grab all this, and we'll kind of spend a second talking about this as well. All right. So we lack the time to fully learn databases good, but if you have used any kind of database before, even like a NoSQL database like Mongo or Firestore, you kind of see that the databases like to generate those primary keys. They're just long random strings in Firestore. Um, in relational databases, the default, it's not the best for every situation, but the default is to just have this single number that ticks up one every time. And so I think this probably says it's the primary key. And then the default value auto increment means the first record will get a value of 1, the second record will get a value of 2, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait, we've got an error. Oh, goodness. Yeah, thank you. Hi. I would have felt silly wasting time on that one. Omar, you're asking, can we use Shelf for concurrency? And I'm pretty sure the answer to your question is yes, but feel free to expand on your question a little bit. All right. We also need a password field. I'm actually only going to use email and password to start because we just want to, I want to write some records and get them back out. So yeah, we'll have it'll be called password. It's also a string and it doesn't have to be unique. And actually, I don't think there's anything we have to do on that. Okay. That's pretty good. So now we go back and we want to push the model to the database. So this is going to already test our connection. We may have to look up how to get a PostgreSQL connection string with no password. That was it. All right. Where was post to go? Oh, it's in the same window. I can't remember what's where. All right, we have a user table with an ID and a password, and we can check out its structure. You can define more keys. You can define indices. You can define unique, combination indices and unique clauses. So you can define pretty much everything in this kind of file. And then when you pop back to your database, you can look at the structure and kind of just make sure that this all checks out and is what you were expecting. So Postgres calls those auto increment columns sequences. They're not called that in other databases. All right. So let's go back to the instructions and see what we're doing next. So now we get to use everyone's favorite package, build runner and JSON serializable for some more fun stuff. So I'm going to, is this going to run if I just paste all these in? It's like not, right? Is it going to run all three? Oh, it does. Huh. I never really do that. I guess it just terminates on the new lines, but it didn't submit. That's interesting. What a wonderful user experience. All right, Omar, thank you for expanding on your question. Flutter works on a single thread. That's correct. Well, that's partially correct. That's mostly correct. A Flutter app has many, many threads running. All of the code that we write runs on the UI thread by default. You can spin up an isolate to send some work onto other threads. And even if you don't do that, there are many other threads running. But yes, pretty much the code that we write is all in one thread. Yes. So does Shelf work the same way on the main thread, just like Node.js frameworks? Yes. Yes, it does. Yeah. So Dart, a lot of people say Dart is a single threaded language. And what they really mean is that multiple threads in Dart cannot share memory. And this means that if you have multiple threads, which you can, they have they can pass messages back and forth to each other. One thread can give some memory to another thread, but they can't share memory. And they used to only be able to pass raw data, which is, slower than just releasing memory to the other thread. But I think it was last year, Dart improved the efficiency of passing data between threads, where it's just like, instead of like copying all of this data, it's just yours now. But they can never share it. So on the server, I've not really looked under the hood too much to see if there's kind of multiple workers going on. If you deploy, if you deploy something, a Dart Frog thing to like Cloud Run, for example, I would presume it's just one thread spinning as fast as it can. Okay, we got a tip here. You can use @map table name to change the table's name. For example, currently our table name is user, but we could make it users in the user model, and it will change our table to be users. That's a pretty good tip. Let's do that. Let's do it. So @map table name, I don't really know where that would go. So I'm going to start by looking it up. Prisma ORM @map. It's got just incredible documentation. So good. @map. And it's just at the bottom. Wonderful. Okay, so there we are. And users it is. Now, the migration story. Changing a table name would always be slightly fraught, but we don't have anything in our table. Well, actually, so what I would do if this app was running, I would kind of fake the migration and I would run the alter table statement myself. But we have not shipped this app yet. We actually have no users. So I'm just going to delete the table and rerun it. Okay. So the first thing that we needed to do was npx prisma db push. I think this is the only command we have to run. Hey, Muaz. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. All right, so now, I keep switching things, but Prisma is just over here. All right, now we got a users table. That is nice. That's a good tip. So let's keep going because we still have to generate our Dart client. And that, I believe, comes from this command. Oh, there's, I guess, both that we have to run. I kind of forget exactly which one does what. I believe this one did a lot of the work, essentially. So we're in DB, so in lib, in source generated Prisma. Yeah, we got a lot of code in here. But there is some more that we have to generate. A lot of things are missing. Again, you don't really have to like study this too hard. We shouldn't grade whether or not that code compiles until we run both commands. Randall, those people are smarter than me too. Randall says he's heard that isolates are in isolate groups, and isolate groups share multiple OS threads and can transfer data via send port easily. I've not really actually looked at the implementation of that. I heard that it was going to be way better, threads passing stuff back and forth, and I thought, nice. All right, so we have generated the Prisma client and are now ready to use it, which is when we can begin to think about shelf. But first, look at this wonderful type safe code that we're going to be able to write here. It's it's really, really tight and structured. So this, user create input maps specifically to the create method. There's update methods that have like an update class here that we pass instead, and maybe it has optional parameters because you're not necessarily going to update fields even though they were required before. So it's a really, really nice type safe UI. It's fairly verbose. It's more verbose in Dart than it is in other languages because of Dart's type system. But I like to wrap my Prisma database in something else that just offers very simple parameters. And hopefully, we'll see that. And you kind of only write all this stuff once per operation. So, okay, it's time to do some shelf things. So, I'm going to close all of this and make should we use Dart Frog? I feel like we should probably just use Dart Frog. Let's do it. Let's use Dart Frog. For shame. For shame. Okay. Pretty darn sure I already have the CLI installed, but maybe this will update it. Will Flutter ever create a drag and drop UI like Android Studio? I do not expect that will ever be a project undertaken by the Flutter team, but there are companies that have made great teams like that, like Flutterflow. Yeah, right. Flutterflow. Flutterflow. I think this is what you want. It's got a splashy website, and look here, we got some logic that you can drag and drop around. It's pretty cool. Flutterflow, I think, is what you want. All right. So we've added Dart Frog, and now I'm going to create a project. And we don't want to create this in the database folder. So instead of my project, we'll call it server. And it builds. Okay. So now in server pubspec.yaml, we can add our database as a dependency. So this isn't dbus, but instead of path, and it goes out of this directory and into database. All right. Wow, we have a lot of errors. Oh, right. Yeah, we kind of need to tell our pubspec.yaml to lay off a little bit. I know the casing is all crazy. Let's actually do that. So in our db analysis options.yaml, this is the stuff that we want to uncomment, and it is in lib source generated. And I think we just don't care about any of that. And it builds. I love talking in the movie trailer voice as well. I can't turn it off sometimes. This summer. All right. So now, yeah, we don't really need to start the dev server yet. I'm going to remind myself how to add a available dependency somewhere. So where's the documentation? Here we go. We want a tutorial, and I think the to-do had it, maybe even counter. Yeah, we need some middleware. I know we're going to need, there we go, middleware. And okay. So closing database, opening server. And do we put it in the routes folder? In the routes directory, yes. Okay. So in routes, we make a new file called middleware.dart. And let's copy this in, and we are going to add a provider. And our provider is going to be something with our database. So now let's flip back to the database, go into lib, and this should just be exporting. Well, we don't really want to export whatever. We definitely need to export all the generated things. Well, there's only one file. I think something changed. There used to be more files. I had 4, I thought, in my project. Maybe they're doing something wrong. Oh, have I hidden the files from seeing them? Look, this sees them. CD database lib source. generated Prisma. Just two. Okay. Why is it that? Oh, it's probably it's a part file. What am I? I don't need to do that. Yeah, part file. Okay, of course. Sometimes you type stuff and then you think, am I new here? All right, so in DB base, sure, let's just put it here. Oh my gosh, this thing's blowing up again. We definitely don't care about this. Oh, the example thing. We don't want this at all. Just delete the whole example directory. And the test thing, yeah, I know. Don't you love it when it's like awesome doesn't exist? Are you upset? Didn't we make this go away? Why did the linting come back for this file? We absolutely just made it go away. I'm confused. All right. We need to create a resource that is going to offer our database. So it'll be class, database, and let's start looking at how to use the Prisma client. So it's going to have a thing internally that stores the actual connection. And here we go. Oh yeah, I want this. So first of all, let's make a constructor. And I guess we can just kind of do DB here equals. Definitely need to import our Prisma client. Don't really need this at all. I don't think we're going to put anything in. You need a semicolon, and then we're going to need a Prisma client DB. Hello. Oops. Hit the microphone. What am I doing? Final Prisma. What are the errors here? DB isn't a thing in the enclosed doodad. I feel like it is. Oh, I have a closing at an extra paren, an extra closing parentheses. That, oh, it's supposed to be here, I think. There we are. All right, now we can import some more things. And this is where if you had an env file, you could not hard code like we're about to do, but we'll do so much. Our Prisma schema file, I'm going to steal this Postgres connection string. And don't try this at home, kids. There we go. Oh, wrong frog. Yeah, get out of here, frog. All right, so we have our database, and yeah, let's make a function to create a user. You can't log in until you create a user. So it's finally time to start using it, and we can see like how this is going to work here. So yeah, let's write a method here. It's going to return a future, of course, of type user, and let's make it nullable because maybe it can already exist or something. And it'll be called create user. It'll take a required string for the email and a required string for the password. And it'll definitely be asynchronous. All right, so this user class, where did this come from? Well, this user class is, it relates one-to-one to our table, and it was generated by Prisma. And so we've got type safe like query components, like your parameters for your query or can be type safe. Well, they will be type safe. And then of course, every table gets a model itself. So we just see kind of all of our fields here that we defined. And anytime, if we do a select all where such and such, we're going to get a list of these users back. When we create a new user, we'll get that back. All that good stuff. If you've used any other ORM before, it's the same. All right. So back to the documentation, we called Prisma _DB, but then .user. So let's look at that as well. So underscore DB, and now we've got type safe. We only have one model in our database. So we just see the user model there. And then there's some different methods for creating a, starting a transaction or running some raw SQL or what have you. But yeah, so we want .user, and now we can look at the different methods on .user. So aggregate, this would be, for running some like get the average age of my users or something like that. Create many, delete, blah, blah, blah. So kind of full CRUD stuff here. And we obviously want create. All right. And create takes a data parameter, which is that user create input field that we were seeing. So data gets a user create input, and this will continue to be really pleasantly type safe for us. So for example, our class requires an ID, but it wouldn't make sense for the ID to be submitted, for the ID to be a required thing here, because the database is going to set that. Well, Prisma is aware of this reality, and the ID is not a required parameter. So ID will go here, and password, I actually cannot, in good faith, even store in this trivial demo a password in plain text. So let's make a hash algorithm or method. We'll pass the password into it. And what's the start hash SHA-1? How do we do that again? Aha, there we go. Crypto terminal. We're in DB. That's good. Pub add crypto. Start pub add crypto. Tried. DB. Oops. There we go. Come back here. Add dependency crypto. No, we put them under the dev dependencies. That's just silliness. Okay. So, all right, we can have this hash algorithm, string, hash, string, raw value, I guess we'll call it. And we're going to need to import crypto. Crypto. And then how do we use crypto? SHA-1 convert bytes? No. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just use like SHA something. And then we need that. We need a sulf. Does everyone know about? Yeah, they weren't very helpful, were they? I presume you're talking about the crypto docs that were just like, I don't know, figure it out. SHA 250 512, sure. How do you work? What are you? You're a something. So you're a class. Do you have like static methods or something? Goodness. Oh my. I don't remember how this works. SHA-1. I'm just asking Stack Overflow. How hash things start crypto. Someone help me with a Stack Overflow post. Hash a file, that would do it. Get hash of file, open read. Oh, transform. That's not something I want. That's too fancy. It's like off a stream. Yeah, okay. We got some crypto action here. SHA-51 start chunk conversion. There is a way to just pass in the things. All right. Could read the documentation here, but I really don't want to. I just want it to work. Was there like a... Oh, there's not even a hash. See, this was from SHA-512. This was from hash. Oh, I wonder. Wait, did that have a constructor? You have no constructor. Do you inherit a constructor? It extends this converter. Okay, the converter gets a const constructor. So I don't think we pass anything to this. So it's not like we pass the raw value, right? Because that expression doesn't evaluate to a function. It's super wrong. Cast convert. I guess we have to use convert. What does convert do? Digest convert string. Yeah, so this is going to be... All right, I give up. We're not doing it. Anyway, read the docs that don't exist. We'll have a hash function that'll just add the salt. That's what it'll do. So the raw string, raw value. And then there's a salt that we're going to get from runtime. For now, we'll... How do we want to... I'll just hard code it in this method. But you'd get it from like your environment. All right, so we're going to return the raw value plus the salt. That was a waste of time. 10 demerits for the crypto documentation. Okay, so we have a create user method, and it's time to... Oh, so we have this database object. That's what we have. We can go back to our middleware and import DB from after Dart Frog alphabetically and create a database. So here we'll say final database equals database isn't defined. I think it is. It's right there. Didn't need crypto anymore. What are we talking about? Yeah, so this doesn't think it... Oh, is that not being exported? It is being exported because I never got rid of it from... I did get rid of it. Database. Here we go. Now you know what a database is. So the provider is going to be for a database. You're going to return the database. Like, this is how it works. And I think there's like a context here or something. You know, the closing parentheses. All right. Oh, create isn't returning anything. No. Database. Oh, it's DB base. Indeed. Did I? Yeah, so we can see. Wait, why was that not barking at us? Oh, because I made it nullable. Ooh. Nasty. Anyway, we can see that create here returns a user. So I'm not doing any error checking or anything yet. But you know, yeah. Well, reflection, I don't think reflection is going to be much of a thing. That would surprise me. But with enough metaprogramming, you can get pretty far. Okay, so we have this middleware. This is the way in Dart Frog that everything, it's basically dependency injection for your different routes. So in our index file, we can now, I think we're basically going to make the create just the post, and login will be the get. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So anyway, we need the database for sure. So final database equals context dot, does this work? Go to Dart Frog. Very strong. Context dot read database. We have to import the database from there. Okay. So we have our database, and now we can say if context dot method context dot. Let me see what the method is. Oh, request for sure. Method. There we go. And are you a string? Oh, it's an enum. Wonderful. Equals HTTP method dot post. Then we are creating a user. And then here we can say database dot create user, that method that we just offered ourselves. And we need an email that'll come from context dot quest dot body. I haven't done this in a minute. Form data. Oh, let's load it. Let's load it from JSON. Yeah, let's do that. So this returns the body text parsed as a JSON object. Exactly what we want. So this will be final request body. And our email will be a request body email. And password is body password. Is this nullable or something? Do we need to say it's for realsies? Oh, future dynamic. Okay, so as map string object. Okay. Object, yeah, sure. So as string. As string. Okay. So now we should also return this. So yeah, so here we have our user, final user, and let's return response of body user dot. Do you have a to JSON? I forget. Dart to JS to string. Did I miss something for making those serializable? Because we literally have JSON serializable in the documentation and JSON annotation. Yeah, something's not right. We have our, yeah, it was generated Prisma client and JSON serializable. What the hell is this? Oh, this is in Dart tool. This is some intermediate build artifact. Yeah. From JSON to JSON. Why are we not seeing that? Because it's probably nullable. Yes, because it's nullable. So if our user is null, did anyone figure that out? You did. If the user is null, then we return a response with a status code. What status code should we return for? I don't know. For conflict. Create the thing. I mean, what is it? Oh, we have to await it. And then you have to be async, and you have to be a future. Okay, there we go. 409 else. And we kind of don't need the else, do we? All right, here we go. There, body user.toJSON, and then we're gonna have to code that to a string. Dart convert, and then this would all be a JSON encode. So I'm gonna wait. I think, yeah, so you were probably saying that as I was fixing it. Thank you. All right. Is create user asynchronous? Yep. Create a bracket. You are also on. Oh man, it was everywhere. Good eye. All right. So I think we've created a user. And let's what should we stay focused on the back end, or should we spin up a quick Flutter app to send this data from, or should we send the data like more trivially? maybe just using curl. What should we do? Speak up in the chat. Or call the toJSON method either. Marcus, what do you mean? I think I'm missing something. All right, so we got 2 votes for backend, 1 vote for a Flutter app, and 1 hi. Hi, Nuber. Oh, Postman. Yeah, Postman is pretty great. All right, I'll use. Yeah, Postman's a cool tool. I don't think I have it installed on my work computer. Postman API. Sign up for free. Sure, I will sign up for free. And I will use off screen my account. And I'm signing in. And I love Google SSO. And I'm back. All right, so let's, I don't know, do I need a workspace? Sure. This is the Prisma ORM workspace. What's going on here? Add to this workspace, my workspace. I have no idea what on earth is going on. I just want to send a post request. What is this? This is terrible. Okay, I guess I didn't want to add to workspace. I just want to send a request. Maybe I click into the workspace. Okay. How do I just send a request? I don't want to use this. What have they done? What have they done to my beautiful Postman? I don't want to invite anyone. Not to this universe where you can't even figure out how to do anything. Collections? That's where I just was. I don't, what, publish? I want to send a post request. We're real close to going back to curl. Environments. Am I missing something? What do I click? Download without an account. Oh, so I'm not in the actual app yet? Download without an account. I would give anything to download right now. How do I do that? Anonymous page, Postman API. Download Postman. Wow. That's what was going on? So that was just totally the wrong thing at all. Woo! Someone clip this and send it to Postman because their app is great and I almost bounced off it and I've used it. All right, let me install this. Downloads, Postman, post person these days, really, right? There's an applications directory. In you go. Postman. Yes, I'm sure I want to open this. That's why I said to open it. VS Code extension. Oh my goodness. Postman, where'd you go? Here we go. Oh my God. Can I not? I can't even, folks, I can't even drag Postman around. I can't move the window. This is incredible. Okay, watch this. Look, it doesn't move. Is there some like Mac OS API you can plug into to do this? Oh my. Okay, we're logging in. Yeah, open Postman. How about I explore my API? You know what API is popular right now? The one I'm building that I want to send a request to. I don't want to make a team. I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to have a workspace. I'm pretty sure I don't want this. No, create a team. I'm sorry, Postman, you're fired. I'm deleting it. I'm absolutely deleting it. And everyone's going to watch it happen. This is unbelievably terrible. Ready? Here we go. All my apps. Where's P? Where's letter P? I love you, Postman, but I'm going to close you and delete you. And please make it easier to send a request. Oh my goodness. All right, curl. I'm going to have to take a shower. How send post request curl? Is there anyone out there? Raise your hand, but be honest. This is honor system. Can you remember how to send a curl request? Randall, we already know you can. Can you remember how to send a curl request without looking it up? We already know you can, Randall. Okay. Send a post request. Good. This is what I want. This is it. This is it. We do need to start the app. Out of all these things, into server, start. Oh, we probably have to run pub dart pub get here. Already did. Great. Start frog dev, I think is the command. Whoa, Randall, you slipping, man. I thought you would have known. I'm not even close. What's the deal here? What's going on? Insomnia, better, simpler than Postman. All right, I believe you, Darrell, but I will use that in my next effort here. What's going on? This error is completely incomprehensible. Why is this happening? What did I do to deserve this? Unable to compile hook. Okay, that feels like a bug we can look up. Dart frog unable to compile. And I just wanted to run a query with Prisma. Unable to compile. I'm about to like make a Dart CLI that logs someone in and out. Yeah. Wait a minute. Darling, unable to compile with frog from SDK. This has nothing to do with Dart frog. I gotta make a Dart CLI. Wait, Prisma works with Flutter? Yeah, let's go, baby. It sure does. Conflicting names because of imports? What import? I'm just gonna make a Dart CLI, I think. Create P. Is there a CLI thing? Command line apps and servers. Yeah, we're doing a command line app today. CLI, and we'll call it CLI. Tell us all the things. Oh, you don't do it. All right, we just need to make a console. There we go. Console. Man, I don't know what happened to my dear friend Postman. Like mourning of the loss of a friend, you know? CLI. Here we go. All right. I definitely want the arg parser thing. All right. Has anyone ever made a CLI with Dart? My first big project at Google was making a huge CLI Oh, we have to import for this. Args. Yeah, that's its own package in it. Dart CLI, making a huge CLI in Dart, and it was really, really fun. And I'd never done it before. Add dependency args. Okay, so now you can import args. Definitely not a CLI. All right, add a line number. What is this again? What are they talking about here? Anyway, whatever. So what are our things here? We can add a command or a flag. Let's add, we need a flag. And let's make this the method. Okay. And what are our aliases? Help defaults to, no, I don't think I want flag. No. Yeah, I don't want a flag. Flag is just like a Boolean. So I need to add option, I believe is what I want. Is there allowed list of yeah. This is good stuff here. Okay, so the name is going to be method, and then allowed is going to be a list of strings that'll just be get and post. Okay, and then we're going to need basically the same thing for email and password. Email, and there is no such allowed limitation here, but you are required, and then you'll be password. You're also required. Is there a required? Mandatory. Mandatory true, and also you are extremely person-datory. All right, so now we have a parser. DCLI is a nice beginner tool. Breaks some fundamental rules, but works well otherwise. I have not used that. Interesting. Parser dot parse or something. Yeah. And so this we give the arguments. And this returns, what do you return? Arg results. That's right. Okay. And I forget if we can already like use the help command on this, which would be kind of cool. What's going on here? We have a test that is getting commented out. And we aren't using the CLI command. Oh yeah, we're not importing ourself really. That didn't even make sense. I wonder if we can go into CLI and run art bin CLI help. Oh, damn. I thought there was an auto help thing. Stinky. Very stinky. I don't remember. I wonder. I think. No. All right, whatever. You can do you can get a help thing somehow. Maybe we'll do it later. Finally, we're going to say if results dot options method equals get. No? What's going on here? Oh, options. Don't remember how this works. Arg results parse, arg results line number. Oh, it's just right on that. Okay, so method equals get. Then we also need to import db. We need to make available CLI pubspec pub spec.yaml. add, no, can't edit that way. DB, what is this? What is DBUS? Stop it. Path. What is DBUS? Accessing remote objects. Oh, dbus. All right, well, we're not going to learn that today. We've added the path, and then it wants us to add, like, what is it? Publish to none or something. Yeah, publish to none. Okay, so now we can import DB, and now we can say DB dot, oh no, we make a new database instance. Oh, it's post. Post is what we were doing first. We have to create db.create user, and we are going to pass it an email of results email. This is so tortured. That's one of the things about database examples. You have to, yeah, I can explain. So first the dinosaurs came, but they were big and fat, so they died. No. First we made a Prisma database. Sorry, we made a Postgres database. Then I made a Prisma client to talk to that. Prisma is a database ORM, primarily written in and for JavaScript and TypeScript. But it's really good. So there are clients and ports and whatnot from lots of other languages, including Dart. So I generated a Dart thing, a client, an ORM, for a schema that we defined. And that schema, I just press Command T with focus on the wrong thing. Schema. So we defined in this file what our database would look like. We have the very simple localhost Postgres connection string and a users table that will emit our user objects. And if we look at Postgres, we'll see that table exists with the fields. So then in a database file called, I think, dbbase still, made a new class called database that instantiates a client that we had just generated. Then, why are you being underlined? Could be final, indeed. Then we made a method called createUser, and it goes through these type safe methods and parameters and whatnot to send a insert SQL statement to the database. We have not yet run such a query, but we are about to, because after many trials and tribulations trying to figure out how to send a network request to something, because we had problems, there's now a CLI that will do this for us. And this whole thing needs to be future async. And now we can await and grab our user. And in our index file, yeah, so we said if the user was null, oh, well, okay, that's fine. So if user is null, then we are going to just say standard out write line. I think we have to import our IO for this probably. Standard out write line did not create user. Else, we are going to say standard out write line user dot to JSON. And then we'll import IO, or I mean Dart convert. And we'll do our same JSON encode. And don't you have like a make it pretty indent or something? Does anyone know how to make JSON encode indent things? There's like a pretty print. I don't know what it is. Anyway, that's what we're doing, by the way. Forgot to unclick. Oh my gosh, we can run a thing. Okay, so it's Dart bin CLI.dart. The method is post, and the email is doesn't matter, and the password is super secure. What do you think? Is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? Well, I don't know. It worked. It had to connect to the database, and we logged all of that out. Oh, right. Yeah. See, normally all of this connection info happens when your server boots up. Normally, you don't talk to a database from a CLI and initialize the database connection in your thing. So, okay, we got a bunch of extra stuff here, and we're logging everything. So we see our insert statement go through, and then it selected it back to that's standard, obviously standard practice there, because the database is going to add some information to it, like in our case the auto increment column. So we got ID1, email ASDF, password is secure, it's well salted, very tasty. And back in Postico, that I continue to forget the space that it's in. Look at this. Can you be bigger, Postico? Look at that. Encoder.convert. Oh, whoa. Dark, let's go. Nice. We're going to use that in the future, I think. Well, because we're looking at it right now. I mean, it's not real, this is just so our eyes could be happy while we saw that it worked. All right. And now we're going to log someone in, and it's going to be really easy. Well, if the thing is get, then we need to write that method, don't we? DB bash. Yeah, we will login user, future user, login user. And this is gonna be pretty similar. Do that. I'm not going to copy the other one. This one, let's actually just write. So this will be database users, and we want, it's just user. Find first, I think, is pretty good. Find unique also. Assuming our email column was unique, then find unique would be a pretty reasonable method. But whatever, let's just go with find first. And what does find first take? Well, it takes an optional where clause that we'll absolutely use. Order by. I'm surprised. Oh, find first doesn't make any sense. Right. Because you could, you might be like, oh, give me all the users who have done a certain thing, but I just want the first one. But we're logging in someone, so this makes absolutely no sense. Let's use find unique. Okay, so this absolutely takes a where clause that is required, and the more type safety goodness here, user where unique input. A little verbose, but really helpful. And this has optional parameters for the fields that, are unique. Well, that's actually a little stinky, because we do want to search on the password, which was, of course, not unique. So we're back to the drawing boards. All right, what method do we want to use here? I guess find many and or find first. Yeah, I guess we'll use find first. Okay. And this had an optional where clause that we are going to use. And so this was, again, so it's not using the same class that we saw a second ago. This is just a user where input. And this one is going to be, I presume, a lot less opinionated about which parameters we pass. So we can combine, oh, nice, those combinatorial like and or, like different Boolean logic operators. I actually have not really played with those, but that looks very cool. And yeah, anyway, so we obviously just want the string filter, or string filter. Yeah. So we want the email and password, which are both string filters. So email is a string filter on our email parameter that we passed in. Apparently, we type some more stuff. Oh, I see. Right. So there's like, does it equal? Is it not in? Less than? Greater than? Where do we actually give the value? Oh, I see. It's equals like this. So the string filter equals the email, and then the password is again going to be a string filter that's going to equal the hashed password. That's pretty cool. You know, you got type safe, greater than, less than. Obviously, for strings, that's a little contrived that you would be like, I want strings greater than this. I don't know. Maybe you could, I guess. Alphabetical sorting. All right, we had a vote a couple minutes ago for find unique. Is that what I used? No. Oh, Dark, did you see the problem though with the password? It didn't, it actually only allowed us to where clause on unique columns, and the password column would not be an appropriate column to have be unique. All right, so now we can log in the user. And first, we absolutely need a better JSON encoder. And I'm just gonna take this right from the help. JSON encoder equals JSON encoder with indent. My poor throat today. Indent, an empty space. Oh, now I see what Randall was talking about. Hey, everybody. Hey, we got a time traveler in the chat today. Let's give him a round of applause. Dark, dialing in from 2018. Welcome. A lot has happened. There was a disease. Most of us spent several years inside. Maybe that's why Dark's a time traveler. Their brain just melted away from COVID. Anywho, so we have an encoder. And then the second part of this was we say encoder dot convert. Oh, train of thoughts trying to get Dark off the hook. All right, so encoder dot convert. Encoder dot convert. Brilliant. Else if results method equals post. Oh, well, let's just bring this up, huh? And we're gonna do a similar thing here. Saying what you're gonna do here is you're gonna log in there, as we're saying. And then we're gonna do the same thing here. So I'm gonna bring you down actually. And we're gonna say link user. Yeah, see. I don't do you. I don't do you. Get out of here. Come on and get. Now create isn't really the right error anymore, so I'll just say did not work. Okay. So we already made one user. Let's make another one and see this pretty print. And I think it'll be very clear why we would want to pretty print results once we see them printed very prettily. Why would anyone want to pretty print the API results, they said? For aesthetics. So now, of course, we have two users. You know, this isn't much of a surprise, but let's log one in. And the login part is likely, oh yeah, we need to actually close the database. This is just sitting open. CLI is talking to a database that doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? db. Close. How do we do this? It was in the documentation, and it's disconnect. Oh, I didn't add that thing. We're not talking to Prisma directly. We're talking to database base. Future void close async db disconnect. And now we can go back to our CLI and await close. Brilliant. Now, the app shouldn't just stay open forever. Try catch or perish in the river below. Yeah, that's funny. All right, let's get this user. This should work. It didn't work. Unique constraint. Oh, I know the problem. I know the problem, and it's a copy and paste error. DB base in the login user. Wait, no, I don't know the problem. We did change it to find first. We spent forever doing that. Oh, I know. We call login user here. It's that I made this one get. Yeah, you're obviously post. When did I make that change? So I always watch these streams later just to see what silly things I did so I can be better next time. And every single time I catch myself just doing the worst nonsense and then being confused by it and wasting time. And it cracks me up every time. I'm going to watch this and find out when create got set to get. And I'm just going to roll my eyes. All right. Get. We're going to log in. All right. And stop the query engine, exit code -15. Well, that's pretty harsh. Let's do a no, I kind of like the try catch thing. Yeah, switch the methods. Yeah. I did no memory of doing that. Literally none. Too much spare time. Yeah. I think this is maybe about the source of the cartoony voices. Yes. Yeah, a lot of spare time, see? And what you gotta do is the problem right now is I got a really good night's sleep last night. So that's why you're getting all the cartoon voices. Oh yeah, an error. That's what I wanted to do. Let's log in a user that doesn't exist. Like from Hamilton. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And this person doesn't exist. Oh, actually it was fine. Oh yeah, because it just said that the login method doesn't fail. Yes. Robert, what were you thinking we should try catch? What should we do? What should we try and catch? Because I think we're kind of good. But of course, I mean, we're not doing any error. Oh, create. Yeah, I'm a man of my word. I told you what happened. Create is pretty broken here. So let's see. Dart is type safe, so we're gonna actually struggle to do this. I'm trying to think, how could I pass no email or something? Well, we saw, yeah. Oh, a duplicate email. That's the error that we want. That's what. Hey, will you clear? Thank you. So we're gonna do ASDF again, and we're gonna try to create. Is this what you were maybe thinking for the try catch? This is gonna go. Yeah, very smelly. So we didn't catch this at all, and it wasn't very elegant of us. Dark. I usually do find unique with email and then verify the password. Oh, right. Yeah, that's quite a nice idea. Yeah, that's pretty good, Dark. Nice. So, oh, there's another thing that you really should do. You just reminded me of this. Hashing passwords is like a super involved thing. Oh, right. We didn't even hash the password because the crypto documentation was so AFK. It didn't even exist. Remember that scene in Phantom Menace where it's a great movie where the Jedi, they're in like some space station and then the aliens try to poison them and they fight their way out. And then they get back to their base and their boss says to them, "Your negotiations seems to have failed." And Qui-Gon Jinn says, "The negotiations never took place." And that's how I feel about the crypto documentation. It's like, your reading of the crypto documentation failed. And I say, the crypto documentation never took place. Anyway, so we're not even doing anything, but like hashing databases or passwords is a pretty involved thing. And there's actually pretty sneaky attacks folks can do by measuring how long different login, logout requests take to kind of figure out some stuff about your hash, your hashing algorithm potentially. And so, generally speaking, a password that we're hashing 0 times will be hashed like 10,000 times or something. And it's pretty wild that has to be a thing. Implementing auth is overrated. Replace it with is auth random 1 to 100 equals 50. Wait, is that what I use? Actually, just looking at my side project and seeing. Oh, I don't think did I. Let's see here. No, I don't think I pushed this. Yeah. All right. We'll just look at bcrypt documentation. Bcrypt is great. Bcrypt. I presume we just want vanilla bcrypt. Use Flutter bcrypt. Oh, here's bcrypt. The license? The license was the page that got indexed? Thank the makers. Yeah, I think this is what I used in the past as well. That's why I was reading the crypto one. I was just like, this wasn't ever this hard before. Oh, they even have helpful check password and hash password methods. Say it isn't so. Oh. Yeah, okay. Bcrypt for life. And decrypt. All right. Well, let's recap what we did here because even though we wanted to talk about Prisma, I feel like about 5% of the episode was about Prisma. Another 5% was cartoon voices. And then the other 90% was trying to get anything working, basically setting up all the raw scaffolding. So let's take it from the top, recap what we did, and that'll be that. Prisma is a super cool. I'm using it in like way more, I'm running way more queries than log in and log out, and I'm really, really enjoying it. In for funsies, Saturday morning stuff. But it's this really nice database ORM that talks to a lot of different databases. I'm like a huge Postgres fanboy, so it's Postgres for life for me, but you can talk to MySQL or Mongo or a bunch of different databases. I'm pretty sure Mongo. And it's type safe end to end. So you tell it what tables you want to have in this file, and then with a single command, it will actually instantiate these tables in your database. And then with another command, you generate your Dart client. Actually, it's 2 commands, one for the Prisma code and one for JSON serializable. And then you have in your directory this lib source generated spot. You get into Prisma client, and there's a whole bunch of code in here. And this file gets ridiculously long as you have lots of tables and lots of columns. And I can imagine that this would, like, I think mine is tens of thousands of lines long, like maybe even longer. Really, really, really long. But whatever, you don't really have to look at it or think about it ever. So Prisma client is now ready to help you write super duper type safe queries. And so, of course, you don't want to you don't want to just pass around a raw Prisma client everywhere, because that's going to make it a nightmare to test stuff. And you just don't want that concern leaking into the rest of your app. So kind of wrap it in something very simple and offer a much simpler API for yourself to use everywhere else, where you return a user. And again, this user class comes from Prisma, so that's really quite nice. And I think that this one is safe to leak everywhere else. The model classes that Prisma creates, I think, are fine to use elsewhere in your app. You can convert them. If you're using gRPC, you're going to convert them into a message anyway. You can kind of figure out, all right, which. Then you're probably that gRPC message, that's probably the class you're going to share on the back end and in your Flutter app. But however far you want to take this Prisma model class, I think is fine. So we return this from the method, and in here anyway, we're writing some admittedly verbose, but very nice, type safe, very ORM-y, which is a term that doesn't exist, code to run these different queries. And down here, like the insert query is pretty straightforward, but the where query is really nice, because select queries are more involved, with their different where statements and all the different things you can do, different comparisons. It's not just equals, that's all we're using, but we saw on string filter, there's greater than, less than, you can combine different things. You could say, show me all the users that were born on this day and are, some other thing, like all the people in California whose birthday is this month, right? So we need some and logic. We saw that in the user where input. Also, it takes these different Boolean logic things. So you build this up all very declaratively, very nicely. Never have to actually maintain raw SQL queries yourself and update the fields everywhere every time you add a new field to your database, which of course is impossible to do. So I just really like Prisma. I think it's very, very nice. Use bcrypt, not crypto. Bcrypt probably uses crypto under the hood, but I'm not sure. And it has an intelligible API surface. So that's wonderful. All right, I'm going to look at chat for a minute here, and then we'll sign off. Someone said, an extremely long time ago, will the Pong project from the last 2 streams be available on GitHub? There actually is a better one available. There's a gist that that we shared during 17 days of Flutter. I'm looking at my actual gists right now. If folks want the one specifically from last week, that can be a thing. It's not good at all. It got better when Lucas joined me. Where is this? I just made a little, like, for funsies Pong thing to run on Dartpad and Con. Here we go. There's the gist. So grab this ID. All right, this part I'll show everyone. Should maybe make this public. Edit? How do you become public? I don't know if I can. Might have to just make a new gist. Oh, there's a button. Great. All right, so if you didn't know this, you grab a gist ID, go to Dartpad, and then give it an ID query parameter, paste in your gist ID, and it loads all the code. And then you run it, and then you play Pong. And this I made a really long time ago and forgot just about everything. So yeah, W and S go up and down, and the arrows, or sorry, W and S go up and down for the left one, and the arrows go up and down for the right one. Yeah. Yeah, it's it's Pong. But I would look at this one instead. Because the other one was incomplete and really silly. Robert says, I use Planet Scale with Prisma. Planet Scale makes migrations not mentally scarring. Whoa. Okay, that's pretty great. What's Planet Scale? Scale effortlessly with Planet Scale. That's a well-chosen name. World's most advanced database platform for serverless MySQL. Do they only have MySQL? Anyway, that's pretty interesting. Okay, this was from 1 minute ago. Can you share what you will do in the next epic? What do you mean by epic? Episode? I don't know yet. That's a good question. Does Dart 3 records have any performance advantage over creating class objects? I don't know. That's a good question as well. That stuff is very new, and I personally I'm like hoping to set aside some time to deep dive into it soon. I kind of want to do a decoding Flutter on it, and I'll know more at that point. It's a good question though. Is developing a full stack app with Dart worth it? Well, you got a couple options. I like Dart a lot, so I like to write it on the server. But there's other good languages, Python, obviously JavaScript. Some people like Java. There's other languages that are also great. And if you use gRPC, then you could share your message classes and kind of get that code sharing between your client and server. If you aren't using gRPC, then it'll be a little tricky to share code between your client and server. No, it'll be impossible. I don't know. Maybe there's another way. I'm not aware of another way to share code between your client and server if you aren't using Dart on the server. Of course, sharing code on the client and server is not required, but I think it's nice. Oh, there's some talk about Go here. Randall says, yeah, competing with Go is never a goal for Dart. That is totally true. I mean, both are just languages made by Google. So like, we're in the same orgs. We just don't see any competition. I can totally understand how, from an outside perspective, that like wouldn't really be the case. And any two languages probably feel like they're competing. From a developer's perspective, it's like I'm doing some project. Even if I use a different language on the front and back end, like just think about the back end. You're probably only going to use one language on there to start. You got to pick one. That means all the languages are competing. So, okay, they kind of are competing, but like from our perspective, they're just both getting as good as they can, not trying to steal each other's developers, stuff like that. All right. So we got a lot done. We connected to a database with Prisma, then we failed to talk to it with a couple different, or maybe just one connection tool, and then ultimately wrote a little CLI to talk to it. And I thought I saw something about writing a CLI in Dart. Maybe we could do an observable Flutter about writing a CLI in Dart. That could be kind of fun. That could actually be quite fun. Oh, and this is someone. Matthew said, just write the API to call the CLI methods. Inception. All right, folks, that'll be it for today's Observable Flutter. Prisma ORM, pretty darn awesome, in my opinion. Use it, tell everyone about it. Speaking of not affiliated, I'm not affiliated with Prisma. I'm just a very happy user. Okay, everyone, I'll see you all next week, which will be the last week before I/O. So stuff is about to get pretty exciting. And then I think we've got a special episode planned for the day after I/O, May 11th. So get excited for that one. But yeah, we'll see about May 4th. I haven't figured that one out yet. Anyway, that's it for me. Have a good one, everybody.